In recent news, as many of you know, Muhammad Hijab's secret Misyar wife has been opening the floodgates surrounding the secret world of marriages in Islam. We should thank him because he made this not well known rotten part of Islam open knowledge. While it's not necessarily always a secret, they're often conducted in private ceremonies with only the amount of witnesses needed. No wedding party, no celebration of any kind. They stay a secret and remain a secret for as long as the relationship survives, sometimes forever. Muhammad Hijab himself has said that its reverts or converts to Islam were more open to polygamy. While I have no doubt that this is true, in no way does this undermine the fact that this happens with Muslim women of all backgrounds. Today my wife is going to go to a video of a Muslim woman who is upset about polygamy, and she's going to talk about how women get taken advantage of in Islam precisely because of these one-sided rules. Let's get into it. A quick intro. We're Mr. and Mrs. Friendly Ex-Muslim. Both of us converted into Islam and left it at different times. We've been married a year now, and together we are tackling these difficult topics. Over to my wife now.
Do reverts really want this? Whether you call them reverts or converts, the issues in the system of Islam for these women remain the same. Reverts and converts are much more likely to be used and abused in this religion because they are often coming from more troubled backgrounds and don't have the same family support that born Muslims do. This is a clip that has gone viral all over social media. In this clip, we have Daniel Hakikachu and Muhammad Hijab laughing about the prevalence of polygamy in their communities, and Muhammad Hijab says that reverts take it the best. Let's play the clip.
Most of the big names of da'wah have at least done polygamy once. The du'at, I would say it's about 85%. The women who take it the best are the revert sisters.
It even reaches 50% fix. In the UK, what percentage of imams and shuyukh and du'at have a second wife? What percentage would you say?
That's very difficult to know, but that's a difficult one. It depends on what kind of community as well. Like the Asians here, they're not really into it that much. The Pakistanis but the reverts are into it. Like black people are into it here. You know, not all blacks. Somali uncles are into it. Like a lot of Somalis with it. You'll find like Somalis have a lot. Arabs are into it. North Africans do it. You know, so it depends on, I think a lot of it is to do with like community-based demographics and how the woman will take it. The women who take it the best are the revert sisters. From my experience of observing the situation.
Can I just say, ew? That sounds really disgusting. Reverts take it the best? What kind of reverts, Muhammad Hijab? Someone who's been a revert for a day, a month, or years? At what stage in someone's conversion do you start introducing this idea of being second best? And to be honest, that's what it is. You're second best. This is why Muslim women become so easily offended and repulsed by the mere mention of second wives. In reality, women truly do not want to be second best or second pick. This is probably one of the worst kept secrets of the Muslim community, that converts from every end of the globe can tell you a story about being taken advantage of themselves or knowing someone else who has. The amount of stories that are out there are astounding, from muta marriages to Misyar, even moving across the world to their husband's home country, only to find out he has another wife when they arrive. TikTok is a graveyard of converts telling stories about being used and taken advantage of. Here we have one girl that says, "Since all of the converts are here now, there's one more thing I feel I need to share with you. A lot of Muslim men will marry converts so they can manipulate them and not give them their full rights as Muslim women. They prey on the fact that converts are often lonely and don't have as much family support, so they take advantage of them and play with their feelings. Be careful."
Please tell me, I don't think, I think there's bil ijma, meaning there's consensus that none of you guys are okay with your husbands getting a second wife. Can I just quickly get that out of the way? Sister Swad.
Absolutely not.
You're not okay with it? Yeah. Listen, sister.
It's a no from me, and if you have anything to say, say it now.
You're finished.
Yeah.
Sister Amira.
Yeah, no.
No, Sister Tyra?
And I won't be happy with it.
Okay, she won't be happy with it. Okay, now listen.
I like that response.
Now listen. Yeah, me, I love listening. Now listen to us.
No, okay, wait.
Can he
hold
come
on.
openly?
But before openly, if we're talking about secret second wife, if my husband has gone behind my back, that to me is cheating, even if it is Islamically correct.
They want to be the first and only wife, the one you love and admire until the day you die. Now, I do understand there's a biological component at play here with men liking sexual variety. I get that men do look at other women. It's kind of impossible to avoid ever noticing another pretty woman again. But the thing is, you look and move on. It's socially unacceptable and stigmatized to cheat on your partner. In Islam, you can actually take it a step further and marry her without the consent of your first wife. Do I think converts really want this? No. Prior to becoming Muslim, are converts somehow more likely to be drawn to polygamy or polyamorous relationships? No. I would say that almost 100% of converts don't even consider this part of Islam prior to their conversion. This isn't even on the list of reasons why women convert, because they love the idea of Islam allowing halal side pieces. What great benefit to me as a woman. They sold me the lie that you have to treat them all equal, but then this is allowed. They hear about Prophet Muhammad taking multiple wives, but that was back then, 1400 years ago, and this is now. They see this idea as something from the past, something with strict stipulations that all Muslim men adhere to or want to adhere to, giving you your rights, like being able to financially provide and treat all wives fairly and love them equally. Come on. Muslim women also forget that Islam doesn't just allow polygamy, it also allows men to sleep with their captives of war. They might have thought, well, there's no more slaves, right? So I don't have to worry. Wrong. You still have to worry about polygamy and Misyar marriage, or muta if you're a Shia woman. However, we know that in Islam, the rules are so favorable to men. Muslim women may accept this sort of marriage out of desperation, low self-esteem, or simply being naive to what kind of hellish life awaits them. If you like content like this and want to see more, I love talking about women's issues in Islam, as well as other social issues created by this unjust system. So please subscribe and turn on the notifications. What are the reasons for taking a second wife? In my time as a Muslim, I heard a lot of stories about women becoming second wives. I was propositioned to be a second wife myself. I was propositioned for Misyar marriage as well. I also personally know people whose husband took a second wife. To be honest, such relationships are almost always doomed for failure for a variety of reasons. Usually jealousy amongst the other wives, as well as finances and a lack of resources being the reasons these marriages fail.
Another example here is some women, it's not that their men are now at a point where they can afford to have another wife, but they choose to do it either way. One of the reasons why they choose to do it is because some of us women are so desperate, and we will happily marry men who we don't even require for them to take care of us in any way. We're just like, I just want to be married, so I'll look after myself, I'll pay for everything. I'll carry his burdens as a man, and I'll also be a wife as long as I have the title of wife. And so for that reason, men who are broke and can't afford polygamy can go marry, because us women make it easy for them. That's the reality we also have to accept. But they also go and do it knowing that they can't afford to. And that really bothers the first wife, because she's already carrying burdens that are not hers to carry. A lot of women are so mad when their husbands come and tell them, I want to take a second wife, because she's thinking, you can't even provide enough for us to live on. Like, if your wife did not contribute her earnings, if you were not getting government support, you would not be able to feed and have shelter for your family on your income alone. So how dare you, knowing that, turn around and tell me you're going to carry another responsibility and throw it on top of what you already cannot carry. And some men will say, well, that's not her problem, that's my problem. Well, it is a problem. In the end, it ends up being her problem, because when you marry another woman who you can't provide for as well, now you're thinking, well, if I used to give you £500 for food, I can't afford to give you £500 anymore because you know I don't have money. And all I have is the extra 500. So I'm sorry, you're going to have to take 400 and she needs 100. And she's even more angry. Because now, whatever's missing, she's going to have to top it up if she wants her children to be able to be comfortable. If she wants to maintain living in a comfortable way, she has to add her income to it to make it work. So she's angry because without her support, you wouldn't be able to stand where you're standing now. And despite you knowing that, you're carrying another burden to add on top of everything else. You're not providing adequately.
She explains it so well here, divvying up resources amongst another woman. After all the sacrifice you've made for your husband and the children you have together, you sacrifice your body for his children, time taking care of the house and him. And this is the big thanks you get. You get to be replaced with something new and shiny. This is also the reality in a lot of cases, guys. The man will selfishly take another wife while allowing the first wife to live on government benefits in order to sustain herself and her family. The first wife might experience more burden with the children and the housework because her husband has essentially made her a single mother. This is fraud, living off of the hard work of others, off of taxpayers while not contributing yourself. Many people ask if these marriages can be reported to government, but these relationships barely resemble marriages, so no. But something does need to be done. These are the scenarios that you are not going to hear about from the male perspective of the online Dawa bros. Regardless of whether she's a second wife or in a Misyar marriage, the reality is that these women and those around them often endure some form of suffering. These are not relationships that start with the foundation built on trust and happiness. Resources quickly become depleted and people suffer emotionally.
The guy has 2 wives, 3 wives, he has no job, and you become the number 4? Why are you doing this to yourself? In any case, that's one of the reasons why women are against their husbands marrying more wives. On this note, because I know a lot of women are going to be watching this video, I want to say to my fellow sisters, sometimes some of us think we're being nice. We're being kind to our husbands by allowing the government take care of the responsibility that the husband is supposed to take care of. So you go and claim all of the social money that you want to claim. You make out you're not married, but you actually are, so you can claim everything. Number one, not only is that money haram because you actually are married, but number two, what you do by doing stuff like that is you make a man lazy. Sometimes, this is what some of us women don't want to hear. Sometimes we're the reasons why some of these men are lazy. We're the reasons why some of these men take on more wives. Because we don't allow them to take any responsibilities as a man. They don't have to work. So, in a sense, we marry ourselves to the government. The government pays for your house. The government pays for the bills. The government puts food on the table. The government pays for the clothing that the children wear. The government is taking all of the responsibility that your husband is supposed to take. So no wonder why he now has extra money to be getting multiple women. If he had to work hard to provide for you and your children, he would understand the importance of responsibility and the weight of the responsibility that taking a wife comes with.
She's actually making another good point here, that women who become the products of polygamous marriages are just marrying the government, basically. The man is supposed to be able to provide, but in many cases, he clearly doesn't. Polygamy encourages laziness. While he gets sex from a new woman, he can just use the excuse of that there's not enough money to go around so he can avoid providing for his wives. What a nice life this sounds like. Doing without and having no money for anything nice or extra because of your husband's pursuit of other women. Something that doesn't benefit you at all. Dawa bros online will just say that men have needs and men have desires that a woman can't understand, But that's all they are, just biological desires, not anything that is rooted in common sense or thinking about both short-term and long-term consequences of having two separate households to maintain financially. Also, your children now become a product of what many divorced households experience, seeing dad on the weekends or whenever he decides to drop in. The children actually suffer because they had a fully present full-time dad to an every other weekend dad. The thing is, though, there was no divorce. Dad just decided that he needed a new woman to bang. Who is susceptible to becoming a second wife? Certain types of converts are prime targets for becoming a second wife and these Misyar marriages. The first being divorced and widowed women, basically single moms, regardless of age. The way I see it, if a baby exited your birth canal, you now no longer qualify to be a first wife. Remember the Muslim woman who exposed Zaid Omar for asking her to do a Misyar marriage with him until he found the actual virgin wife he wanted? Personally, I think she's absolutely gorgeous, and it's shameful that a man would want to just use her for sex, then throw her away. You can tell even post-baby that she still looks very good, and she's young. I'm sure she's a good mother. What's wrong with someone like her that she's only deserving of being used and thrown away like trash? So many of these women are pretty unqualified. They're just viewed as less because they had a baby. In the real world, women get to pick the man. Women are the one who decide. In the Muslim world, the man decides, even if he's in the same situation as the woman, a single parent. Men get to choose because they are the ones who make the determinations of the worth of a woman. It usually has a lot to do with age and whether or not she still has a hymen.
There's a lot of Muslim men, young, old, all ages, and they talk bad about single mothers. They value them less. They devalue them. They tell them you're not worth anything. You have kids, you have baggage, you've lived a life, you're not worth anything now. You're nothing more than a second or third or fourth wife.
Let's be honest. I am in no way saying that men have to pick single moms, but I am calling attention to this very real problem where single, divorced, and widowed moms are seen as less human, less worthy of a person simply because of this. I am sure that a lot of these women from Arab and Pakistani backgrounds can cook very well, keep a beautiful home, pray, and do everything right according to Islam. Yet it's that lack of a hymen that makes them use goods. There's no such thing as looking at her heart and soul, knowing her as a person who's been through something. I get that statistically speaking, single parents often look for other single parents to date, but this is an entirely different thing. By default, having a past, aka prior marriage with children, you are now less qualified to have the type of man you may want and deserve. You are sort of pushed into settling and accepting marriages that you would have never wanted or considered before.
Just because I'm not searching doesn't mean that there isn't a lineup of gentlemen ready to marry me with my 3 children, right?
So would you be willing to marry, to be, not, you could share this if you want, or would you be willing to marry, to be a second wife?
Absolutely not, no.
Okay,
it's not for me. I'm not against it for whoever wants it, right? Like, I think that that's one of those things that's not for me. Okay. I don't think I need to, emotionally, that wouldn't work for me, right? So I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where I know that emotionally I would not be okay with that, right? But I do agree it is the sunnah, right? And like I'll reiterate, it's also sunnah to marry widows, single mothers, and not have us be that like, well, you're a single mother, so now are you okay with being a second wife? But why? Like, why can't I be the first wife? Why can't I be the only wife as a single mother?
Another scenario that I have personally seen is Muslim women who have been in a long-term marriage with children, and guess what? The husband now wants to take a second wife. This happens as well. The woman gets married for the first time, has a couple of kids with her husband, and now he's bored or maybe not as attracted to his first wife, her body changed, etc. So he seeks out halal sexual variety. Sidra here says, well, if that's happening, I'm leaving.
Hey Sidra, what would you do if your husband got a second, third, or fourth wife?
Leave.
Just like that?
Just like that. Just because it's allowed doesn't mean I have to stay. So if he gets a second, third, or fourth wife, okay, bye.
But can she really leave? She doesn't work. She has 4 kids. She has no power in this situation. is it the woman's fault when sham marriages end? Many may be quick to point out that the women are not victims in these situations. Now, women can be victims of their own optimism about the viability of a so-called marriage such as this, and there's a lot of variables stacked against the viability of being a second wife. Women may say they're okay with giving up some of these rights, such as financial maintenance because they're desperate for a partner. However, a woman who is quickly willing to give this up may not realize she is operating like a single mother household, which we know statistically fares far worse than a dual income household. These things might seem very obvious to all of us, that forfeiting rights means that there will be suffering, but people can become blinded by desperation, the illusion of love, or even the fame of some of these guys. We have to remember the other factors at play here. Perhaps a woman who is in a Misyar marriage may feel deep shame if the relationship ends, hearing "I told you so" from her family and friends. Also, she might be scared of being alone again, starting all over. Maybe she invested a significant amount of time in getting to know this person. There could be so many reasons why a woman stays in a situation like this longer than she should. But like anyone else, people make mistakes. If we want women to wake up from the poor treatment of Muslim men, we have to validate their pain and upset, letting them know that everyone makes mistakes. Their mistake was trusting a system like Islam to give them happiness. Also, I can tell you right now that Muslim women, both converts and born Muslims, make these types of terrible decisions all the time. If they didn't, divorce and leaving Islam because of these bad experiences would be unheard of. I know of women who were cheated on by their husbands for years, but they stayed in fear of what would become of them and their children. So many of these women are isolated from the outside world, never working or attending university to better themselves in the event that they leave their marriage. We can't blame women for doing things that they feel protects their stability and safety, even if the right decision is to just leave. Not everyone has the financial resources or emotional tools to make such a decision right away. Some of these women are controlled to the point where they barely leave their houses for decades. I know of women like this as well. Women who never learned how to drive and stay home 24/7 with their kids. The husband is the one who escorts them everywhere they go. When I see young women convert to this religion, women that are in their late teens or early 20s, their life experience is so limited. They have no idea what may await them if they continue down this path of Islam. There might be a couple failed marriages, secret second wives, and then being told at the end of the day that they have to accept it because Islam allows both. They are going to be told that these things that are Islamically allowed are a test, which is a form of victim blaming as well, putting the burden of solving these issues on the woman when she didn't ask for any of this to begin with. By bringing awareness, we create a form of exposure therapy so young women interested in this religion can think twice before they convert. Islam is a system designed by and for men. How can we sit here and say that Muslim women aren't victims of this system? They may have gotten themselves into a terrible mess with Misyar and being a second wife, but it's the system that creates this trap. The unique thing about Islamic marriage is that the second wives are allowed in halal. There is already a power imbalance in this type of marriage from the get-go, so the woman is, by default, at a great disadvantage here. Being a second wife is a religious cover for emotional and financial abuse. The consequences and aftermath fall on a woman as well, when it's the man who used and discarded her. Religious brainwashing may convince women that what they are going through is simply a test, that this second marriage is Allah testing them with his wisdom and laws to see how faithful they will be because of this hardship.
And I do believe as well that, Islam is there to test us and challenge us, whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in finance, whether it's in health, in many ways. And if this is something that is...
Islam comes to test us in relationships, in finance, and health. She's saying Islam actually makes our lives worse. It's testing us, right? That's crazy to hear a Muslim woman say this.
In order to help women like this, though, we need to validate their pain. Second, we need to be understanding that religious programming like this is not something that becomes undone overnight, if ever. However, through these stories that are told, we can continue to bring awareness to those that are questioning leaving or converting. In conclusion, let's stop pretending that Muslim women actually want polygamy. Most don't. They tolerate it. They're pressured into it. They're guilted, gaslit, or religiously manipulated into accepting it. And when it falls apart, as it often does, they're the ones left picking up the pieces while the man moves on, justified by Islamic sources. Whether it's Misyar, polygamy, or muta, these fake marriages are not built on love and commitment. They're built on Islamic privilege for male convenience, and the cost is almost always borne by the woman, emotionally, financially, and psychologically. If we truly care about women, especially vulnerable converts or single mothers, we need to stop romanticizing a system that exploits their faith and desperation. Islam isn't empowering. It's not liberating. It's a system designed for men to have options, while women are expected to silently accept pain as a test from Allah. But it's not a test. It's a trap. And the only way out is to expose it, loudly and unapologetically, so others don't fall in. If you appreciate this content and want to support us, join us on Patreon. If you like this content and want to see more, I love talking about women's issues in Islam, as well as other social issues created by this unjust system, so subscribe. If you're looking for something to watch, check out these two Muslim women and how they defend Islam and men's rights over their own. This is Mrs. Friendly Ex-Muslim signing out.